Hey, what's up, guys? Saha here. Thanks for joining me on another ladder grind session. We are early here in the November season, looking to make another push back into Mythic as soon as possible. We are off the Infinite Squirrels, taking a break from that, and gonna give the old Esper Reanimator a shot, at least early in the season here. It's been putting up pretty good numbers. It seems pretty strong, pretty powerful. As always, check out you can watch deck analysis, theory behind the deck, my thoughts, my card picks, reasoning behind the, the picks of the deck. I'll have a link to that below in the description. Alright, I'm gonna keep. We've got all the mana we need. And we've got some enablers in Stitcher's Supplier, so looks like a keeper. Already finding Sarah's Emissary, 2 copies. Opponent looks to be on control. Just got control of some sort, most likely. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go for a setup early on Burial Rites on Ulamog. Probably gonna run into a counter spell, but we've gotta push through and play our game. So I don't expect this to resolve, but Ulamog is generally the pick I'm going for against control, even more so than Sarah's Emissary, because statistically they should have less answers to it. Whereas against aggro, we would usually be going for Sarah's Emissary. Another thing I failed to mention, when I did drop that shock land on the first play rather than one of the switch lands, I was kind of just spacing out, in all honesty, but a lot of times it can help to play that first. Sometimes you can get in a bind where you don't know what you are going to necessarily draw on your second turn. You may be able to play a priest, or be able to play another one of our enabler spells, and it helps to have that option, play the dual land rather than the switch land early. But still learning. I'm still kind of new to the deck myself, so I'm still kind of playing around, learning the best sequencing, always still trying to learn. Not always making the optimal land drops at times, but trying to learn from mistakes is always best, and just have awareness of what's going on in the match. So at this point, I'm surprised that this resolved, feeling good about that, and we're in a great position, so I want to just yeah, I'm going to keep up a counter spell. But my slowness is obviously pissed off the opponent, and it wasn't looking good for them anyways, so good start. But another thing I failed to mention in the deck analysis video that's kind of interesting is that a lot of these enabling not cantrip, but graveyard dumping spells, and yeah, some of them are cantrips for drawing and discarding. Most of them in this deck are all instances, in fact all of them, I think. So that means a lot of times we can play them at opponent's end step and still posture as if we have a counter spell, bluff that we do. We're usually only really main phasing these spells if we have good reason to do so and we can reanimate a big creature that turn. So they're going first. Got a 2-lander, lots of enablers though. I'm gonna gamble and hope we find the 3rd land and start digging into some things. Not necessarily likely. Got no turn 1 plays. It's easy shock land drop. Get that out of the way. Another control deck, which is one of my pet peeves. I'm just really disgusted by the Jeskai control decks at this point. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just don't like the decks. It's very oppressive. Some of the strongest cards in Historic right now, and it feels like the deck's been around for a while now. It's crazy to think that Brainstorm was still a thing back in the day with it. But even without it, it's still so strong. There's just so much card selection. So not much going on yet on our side of the board. We're just setting up, looking to end step, dig, and try to find something. Dig as much as we can. Interesting. Chance for glory. We'll discard our big monster and pretty much good on lands for the moment, so pitch one of the lands. Now our opponent is playing a Chance for glory. Turn, and they are going to
fight you should quit now.
Not die and use Gideon of the Trials to prevent their death, which is definitely a thing. And I have no reason to main phase any of these spells because they're not going to lead to reanimating anything on my turn. Don't have the mana for it, even if we did happen to turn over a flashback reanimation effect. Karn. So that's certainly not good. I could go find an artifact that will shut down my graveyard, so I don't really think I can let this go. I'm gonna opt to attempt to counter this. Gaze at end of turn. And we have found 2 guys. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just dump everything in because we don't need this hallowed fountain. So we're just going to push it into the graveyard and dig deeper in for more action. So now we could attempt to animate Shieldred or Sarah's Emissary. I don't really know what our opponent's deck has as far as removal. Could have Wrath of God, sweeper effects, so given the state of the game, I'm not sure how much it matters what we animate. So I'm just gonna go with the more greedy option. Otherwise, I mean, I could go Sarah's Emissary. She's Planeswalker. Just speculating that they may have a Planeswalker, but I have no idea how they plan to remove this. So I'm just gonna go with this and hope it survives a turn so it can animate, or we'll just have the unearth effect stifled, old school Scourge. The old school Scourge effect, Scourge card. We've already got an Azcanta activation online, which isn't very good for us. Getting a lot of value. Okay, so they got Lotus Field, Stifle in the deck to cheat that into play without having to sack 2 lands. Kind of rather quickly here, we're just dying to Gideon very fast. So he becomes a creature, so I think we would need protection from creatures rather than planeswalkers to actually prevent his damage, but as it stands now, we have no way to reanimate anything. We're dead to Gideon. So we will have to gain more life. We can counter that. So I'm actually going to just do a main phased Faithful Mending. So we have to stay alive. At least try to. We're almost to the point of actually just casting Sarah's Emissary. Probably gonna just discard. I want to keep a counter spell back. 1 Watery Grave and maybe the Priest of Felrites. We just don't even have the life right now to swing it. And of course we can always unearth it rather than cast it, which could be good. It could at least dodge a counter spell. It's not going to dodge a Stifle, but another Karn. I'm still kind of afraid of that card, so much so that I do want to counter it. Of course, we're going to get hit for 4. Which will put us to 3. We won't even be able to Priest of Felrites unless we draw a land, but I don't know. Can't have that on board. We're going to need to draw a land and unearth this. Get back Sarah's Emissary for 10. Fall to 1. Oh, we can't. That's not gonna work. We can't gain enough life and survive. I think we're just dead on board here. Kind of delaying the inevitable. We can gain 4 life. Can't have that come into play tapped, but yeah, we're kind of just floundering here. But not officially 100% dead. We can gain 4 life. Unless they find something. Teferi. In life, you can keep playing. You can hardcast Sarah's Emissary. We don't need land very much at the moment. Just pitch land. Fall to 1. Gonna main phase. Maybe looking for a burn spell to just finish us off. Oh, whoops, did I just... I meant to cast another Faithful Mending. I didn't accidentally skip through land step. My bad. Not the best. Not the best play, but... Wheel. Just gonna blindly fire one out. Fire out the Sarah's Emissary. I mean, I guess naming, what have we seen? We have seen a Lightning Helix. Heck, this can come into play, tap our guy though. And then he can just attack, kill us, so I guess we have to play Planeswalker. Sort of a blocker. Whoop-de-doo.
This is a serious situation. We can still have a little fun. And some think time only flows in one direction.
So they're leveraging Teferi, just really abuse the Lotus Field and tap it, just get lots of mana. Probably find something. Another chance for glory. We do have that emblem. Oh, it's a cool deck. I'm
Let's
glad
do
at least
this one-on-one.
It's not losing to plain old Jeskai control.
Until you have lived as a statue, do not talk to me of Pigeon. You will not threaten this world.
Hopefully they can just find something and end it here. Yeah, that will do it. They can cast it. 1 mana short. Nope, they're good.
A second here, a second
Lost
there.
1 life
Who's counting?
at their end step, so. Yep, that's it. I don't know why they're not casting it immediately, but. Alright, we have, we'll keep, it's good, we got at least a potential turn 3 animation of something cool. We're gonna go ahead, turn 2 Priest of Power Rights. Usually just an aggressive first play to try to go for as early of a revival as possible, assuming if they don't have a removal spell. Probably go ahead and just lead out another one. Or we could... We also don't have a 4th land, so it might be better to just try to dig for the land, and we don't even have a target. And potentially use some burial rights at this point, because we gotta find the land, so we're probably looking to use Thirst for Meeting here. Dig deeper, make sure we can hit that 4th land drop. Get Unburial Rights in the graveyard if that's the case. And ideally, find a big threat. There's a couple of them. Of course, we're only discarding 2 cards, so we want to do Unburial Rights. That's a question of what monster do we want for this game. Ulamog or Sarah's Emissary, and I'm not sure what our opponent's on. Again, it's just like a generic control shell or something. So I'm gonna actually go with Ulamog. Yep. And see what happens. I'm gonna play white because I do want to build up eventually to 3 white mana if the game gets to the point where we actually have to hard cast these suckers out there. Sweet, they must not have an answer for him. And he is a house. It's a sweet card, sweet design to the card. Just attacks from such a unique angle. Damage, difficult to kill, and potential to just mill them outright. But even better than milling because it's just exiling their deck and it just trashes people's deck. Another interesting thing about Ulamog is just the amount of intelligence of getting to see a big chunk of somebody's deck can be very beneficial in best of 3s and just learning what somebody's deck makeup is in in digital games like this where you don't have somebody's deck list, that can be really, really important. So I only have 2 lands on the play. Usually I don't like these, but we do have a second turn Fell Rites, and we can dig with Otherworldly Gaze, so I'm gonna let it rip. I'll be able to first turn Otherworldly Gaze at their end step. Kick this off. Best 1-drops of all time, maybe. Probably. So definitely putting Ulamog in the graveyard. The question is, do I want to keep both these lands? I think that I do. I mean, I do want to get to 4 lands eventually. And next turn, it doesn't really matter. Whoa. And we're back. So, I mean, this guy's probably not going to see the light of day, our priest. But again, we got to test our opponent. We got to play our cards, force them to have the answers. Makes sense. Limit our ability to dig further into the deck. Thought sees us. At this point, we're left with just one enabler. We're looking to continue to dig and find a new way to reanimate, or ultimately get to 5 mana and attempt to unearth. Not looking to really counter anything here unless it's really terrible for us. I want to keep digging. Croxa, I'm probably going to just go ahead and discard Sarah's Emissary. I kind of want to do anyways. Inquisition of Kozilek. I suppose we will, it kind of forces us. Might as well use this and see if we can get them to whiff on our hand if we can. I'm not going to counter it, I'm going to draw 2 cards. And then he would be discarding, they would be discarding the gaze either way. So I'm just going to discard these 2. And they have full intel of everything that's going on in our hand. Shit. Misclicked. I meant that to be a planes, like kind of tricky double click action, but so again, we're just digging here with this point. Our hand's been kind of eviscerated. I think maybe I need to take this username tonight the way I'm misclicking and spacing some of these plays, but so I think I want to just use the Thirst for Meeting. I could dig for 6. Although otherwise I could dig for 6 and try to find that 5th land. Actually seems better. We just let the Thirst for Meeting go. So there's a 5th land. Well, we want that 5th land. An Earth. Another Priest of Fell Rites. Ideally we would have not a shock land, but maybe we'll go ahead and dump that as well and keep the Godless Shrine. We're always trying to get up to 3 white, just in the back of our mind, to play the Sarah's Emissary if games actually get to that point. So it's generic, but I'm just gonna, he's got so much shit out there already, we're just gonna go the Emissary classic play and hope they don't have immediate answers. But unfortunately they can just keep, we can't get around the loss of 3 life. We block that, they recast it, we lose 3 life, we're dead. So I actually can't do that right now. It's just weird, because this isn't going to do any damage to us, but... So, what we are desperate for, well, we need to fill our hand, or they just have another one and we're dead. Okay, was that in the graveyard the whole time? Doesn't matter, but we would have just needed to find life, more life, to try to hang out, or a card. So we could discard and not lose the 3 life. But it's tough. We don't have much, but we have, we're gonna be too much land. I was gonna say we're gonna make our land drops at least, but found the Emissary. that. Want to flip another Imperial Rights to try to just get Sarah's Emissary out as fast as possible and hope that they don't have an answer. As the Priest of Forgotten Gods will actually not be able to harm us. If we say creature, they can't target us. Whoops. So we're setting up, we potentially can do that on turn 4. Discarding on Burial Rights with Find the Villain's Lair. Which is probably what we want to go for. Just want to get it out as soon as possible. And try to win the game before they can find an answer, assuming they don't already have one. And our lands are quite in excess at this point, so just start to unload those as well. I could unload another Emissary, but which actually probably makes more sense. Yeah, if it becomes relevant. We're pretty far away from hard casting that right now. But yeah, I'll go ahead and dump that instead, actually. I mean, that's going to help them draw a lot of cards, potentially find answers. But now this is not bad that at least we have all this backup counter magic, which is certainly valuable right here. I could have considered playing that untapped. Then we'd be able to counter and gaze next turn, potentially. But, I can't rack our brain over it. There's so many little things that could have ripple effects downstream in the game. My smooth brain was immediately just thinking, like, I don't want to lose any life right now. Played it, not thinking that I needed it, so I played it tapped. But anyways, next turn, our opponent is looking for more material, sacrificing, drawing, trying to find an out. Having protection from creatures is definitely a special thing in the game of Magic. I mean, it is the most fundamental way to deal damage after all. But we can't prevent, I mean, this doesn't prevent all the loss of life effects that these food decks could have. It can definitely get us that way. Many other ways to get around it. Make us life. But it is a great boon to be able to, dodge this their priest, that is their traditional way, would normally make us sacrifice our creature, but they can't target us. So it's just a bomb. I'm not aware of any red-green spell that they could use to kill this. I mean, I guess if they had like the destroy flying creature, if I'd be ultra paranoid that they don't, nobody plays that. This isn't limited. Let's be real. Like the hell is the card called? Like fall or. Anyways, so I could gaze here and we leave our counterspell door closed for a moment, but is it worth it? It's not even really necessary. All I'm doing here, I'm just trying to close out the game, keep these counterspells online, active, not tap my mana, just in case. So all focus right now is on the Sarah's Emissary. That's holding the game down right now. If we could just protect that, we hopefully can get there. So there is an out. Obviously, we are going to counter that. Well, they can certainly make us lose life now. Is it fast enough is the question. Nope, looks like they want to just keep digging, find another answer to it. Alright, now we're gonna gaze. And I'm just gonna dump everything in. Keep digging. Gaze again. And dump everything, because I'd love to just draw another counter spell, really. Hopefully they can't find 2 removal spells. And we could just dump another Sarah's Emissary in play as well. But I think the safer option is to keep up the counterspell because they do have, you know, they could use the Pulse sorcery card that can destroy 2 creatures, or kill a creature, then kill all copies or things that share a name with it. So I think in this situation it's just safer to hold up our counterspell rather than like try to reanimate yet another creature. So we're just gonna pass. Hopefully they can't. Hopefully this is good enough. We can just ride this counterspell to victory. Doesn't look like they can find an answer anyways. I mean, it certainly can be a grind, best of one ladder. Like, first matters a lot. Definitely can be a lot of back and forth, but best of three can as well. Sometimes it's nice in best of one to just kind of, you get to see a lot of matchups, learn a deck quickly, just kind of really grind, zone out with the deck, and learn the play patterns, or at least continue to strive to learn them and learn what's best. Learn from your mistakes. Make them all the time. Just try to be aware and learn from them. But anyways, what do we got here? We've got 3 switch lands. We've got every type. We've got a couple enablers, or 1 enabler. It's a little, we don't have anything too good yet. We really want to find some more digging, but we can roll it. A little bit more digging. It's the power of all the digging cards having flashback. On the good old gain life cleric plan, gain life .deck. So attacking's out now. We want to hold to block. Finish our Esper mana base. We'll hold back and be looking to just flash back a Faithful Mending and at their end step, using all of our available mana. Interesting, they are attacking. I'll block that all day long. What we want to do. Let's just keep churning through the deck. So now I've got a strong target in Ulamog to reanimate next turn, but I don't have the 4th mana. So instead of Faithful Mending, which is only going to see 2 cards, I'm actually going to Gaze here, which will see 3. It's less strong of an effect, but in this case, we want to get as deep as possible to find a 3rd land. We still don't yet in those, so we're going to put all of those in the graveyard, and awesome, that does get to a 4th land under there, which we would not have seen if we used Faithful Mending. So, actually, now we also have Sarah's Emissary in play instead of Ulamog, which, that's going to be the stronger play. Standard play, standard order of operation. We don't know our opponent's list. Could have a number of answers to either card. They could have a Banishing Light. to get rid of Ulamog or Sarah's Emissary, so I just tend to default to a strong known option, which usually works out. We don't know their deck list, so we don't know, you know, they could have instants that could deal with our cards, so it's when in doubt and you just don't know, it's usually just pick creature. At the very least, we know they have creatures in play already, even if they're not that threatening yet. But as you know, as the game develops, if you see more of their deck, you can try to learn and infer what they may be using, as far as if they have removal, and then you might make a different choice. It's pretty interesting. The Sarah's Emissary played, like, sometimes you just hedge your bet. You get two of them out there saying creatures, choosing protection from creatures, but some decks will just have a sweeper, and there's no way around that. You can't have protection from Wrath of God effects. You can't say sorcery is just going to board wipe. So we're on the play. We've got all enablers. We just got to find some stuff. But we can do that. That's what the deck's supposed to do. Yeah, again, it's very early here in November season. It'll be interesting in just about, I think we're 1 week away to the release of Crimson Vow, which should shake things up a little bit. I haven't read the entire spoiler yet. I don't think it's available yet, depending on when you're watching this video, but should be soon upon us. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, gets shaken up in Historic, what cards are good enough to reach Historic format. Is always interesting, in my opinion, to see what new sets can bring to these older formats. Cards got to be, quite good to see play, even in Historic, but especially like Modern or Legacy. Lurrus, got to be the most popular companion of all time. So strong. Alright, so we probably would rather, we don't need the land, we don't need this, but we do want a priest, because we can play that next turn and go for as fast of a reanimation as possible. But now the name of the game is Priest Staying Alive is the first box that must be checked, and then we've got to find something next turn to animate. But we've got two options to dig, which, assuming if they don't remove our priest, those will be a main phase. We'll launch those on our main phase and attempt to reanimate that turn. Opponent's like deep in the tank, crunching numbers, processing, or they just lost their internet connection, just chilling. Didn't draw a second land, questioning everything. Darkness approaches. Oh! Find a land in their hand and let a Hushbringer spill out of their hand into play. Okay. So now we do our thing. Like I said, looking to cast out a big creature. Both of these draw 2 and discard, doesn't matter, but we want to keep counterspell. So Faithful Mending is the card here. Although I actually, silly me, we've got, again, this is a situation, it's easy. We've got the Gaze, this just finds more cards, 3 versus 2. So what we want to do is Gaze to try to find a monster with Reanimate. Yeah, we don't find anything, so we're just going to dig deeper into the deck. And back to square one. So that's unfortunate. The threat density, it could consider possibly going up to 10. We're at 9 big monsters right now. Could see an argument for 10. Maybe going back down to 24 land. I mean, these are little marginal things, but it all matters. I mean, it's all percentages of winning as many games as you can percentage-wise. So we're still looking for a threat. We'll just Faithful Mending. Still nothing. We're very overloaded on land at this point. We don't need these lands. We did find another mending, so we'll go ahead and let her rip. And there's a guy, finally a threat. So now, got 3 white. We'll keep the. We'll ditch the island. Even though I love that island, I just think it looks cool. Alright, so now we animate the only threat we have. And it's good enough. Even an Ulamog, because they have no way to remove it. Alright guys, let's do one more game and we'll call it. Hopefully we can find an interesting matchup. A lot of these games, as you can see, have been pretty polarizing one way or the other. But I mean, it is pretty satisfying just to reanimate such a huge threat and just the hopelessness of your opponent realizing I have no answer for this. What am I supposed to do? You quit the game. So we've got a lot of diggers. We can dig. 2 mana. We've got all colors covered. I think we'll take it. In this case, I'm gonna lead off with a supplier. Slightly more aggressive. Get a puncher out. It's 3 cards in the bin either way. It's an interesting situation where we both want to put things in our graveyard. I'm at a lower life, so I'm not going to attack. I'm going to stay on defense. Not that it matters much. It's a marginal thing to consider. But now the name of the game is casting Priest of Felrites, hoping they don't have an answer. Just again, for as fast of a reanimation as possible. Although in hindsight, I actually, given that I was casting this as defense, my argument didn't make any sense to hang back. I probably should have attacked there before showing him, before showing them the Priest of Felrites, and like we each put 3 in the bin, but I think I can do at this stage, at this early stages of the game at least, I can do a lot more powerful things with the resources in my graveyard than they can. Again, we're just like hyper analyzing these matchups of Rakdos value graveyard versus Esper control, Esper Reanimator. So now they're thought seizing it. It's fun to get thought seized in this deck because a lot of things you just want in the graveyard anyways, so it's probably not the best thing to see when you're for the opponent to thought seize and just see all this bullshit in your hand that you're gonna potentially just reanimate. So I mean, yeah, they obviously didn't want to take Ulamog, we would just be reanimating him. But anyways, we're gonna gaze twice here to try to find something else. A lot of land. Slog through all that. Now we'll have to flash one back to try to find something. We still don't find anything. But the Thirst for Meeting will keep on top. That will let us load our graveyard. The Ulamogs in our hand, at least. We also do want a 4th land, though. So I want to probably want to keep all of this, actually. But I think I just want to get deeper in, so I am going to dump the villain's lair at this point. And next turn, we'll want the Thirst for Meeting instead of even the land drop, because we'll draw the land with the Thirst for Meeting, and also... Alright, now I'm going to attack. I'd be surprised if they block. Yeah. Again, we just continue to hold. And hopefully, I mean, they probably have an answer to the priest now. No, they don't yet. It's surprising. I mean, did they play a land? Oh. Now we have the option of Ulamog or... So, what ways do they have to kill our creatures? I'm probably just gonna go Sarah's Emissary here, actually. On creature. It's just hard to know. They could have a multitude of instants or sorceries to kill this also, but the safe bet is I know you're going to get value when you say creature. So sometimes it can feel a little hard to make that decision. Like you're tending, you want to pick like instant to protect the guy when they don't have that much pressure from creatures on the board, but creatures, it's such a safe early pick if you're just unsure. As you can see, like people, a lot of decks, they're not ready to deal with that if they don't have a way to remove it. That's lights out. So anyways, I hope you guys like that little preview of the deck just for an hour here. Fumbled along a little bit, kind of made some silly misplays, kind of just spacing out with mana, but nevertheless, you can see the deck. You know, it's almost just plays itself. You just, these threats are too powerful in best of one Magic, especially when you're not able to sideboard and prepare for these just silver bullet hardcore threats to deal with. But anyways, guys, I'm Sci-Hi. Be sure to hit the like button, all that bullshit, subscribe, help me get the channel off to a start as it's early stages here. And as always, good luck on the ladder, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.